Hello everyone, my name is Jennifer, and this video is to help each other learn the benefits of interactivity and engagement in language learners. With the help of recent research and studies, we will look at what technology and digital aids can be used in the classroom. But first, why is engagement important? Learner engagement can be labeled to energy and action. It is closely related to individuals' psychological and physical efforts and categorized by vitality, devotion, and focus. This includes learning motivation, teaching interfaces, learning context, and teacher-learner relationships. So let's look at engagement. So when inside of a classroom, whether it is online or in person, we as educators must remember that we should encourage interactivity. The most important part of this is to have a strong teacher presence. Just as you would command attention to be on you in a lecture setting, the same should happen with young learners as well. The use of the body to help students understand the language you are trying to teach greatly helps language production. But how do we do this with digital content? We create interesting learning environments using tools that our students are interested in using, creating a teacher presence through a screen. Teachers that create introduction time, welcome videos, warm-up videos, and that lead into lessons are more likely to have a more engaged classroom. So that leads us to motivation. Motivation can be divided into parts. The first is extrinsic motivation, which comes from external source like the teacher or peer acceptance. This can be like a reward system, or if peers clap and applaud when someone is done presenting. Those are types of extrinsic motivation. And then we have intrinsic motivation, which comes from the student. To have intrinsic motivation occur, the learning environment and satisfaction of the three basic needs must be met, which are physical, belongingness, and relatability. We can achieve this by creating an environment where students are comfortable, encouraged to try, and are having fun. So what kinds of technology can we use? In recent years, there has been an increase of use of technology and digital interfaces to help increase student engagement and motivation. This is a great tool to use in young learner in classrooms, as it will allow them to think and use the language that they have learned. In many cases, we have switched to our classrooms into a blended learning environment. This means that there's a combination of traditional face-to-face instruction and online instruction in the classroom. While traditionally the online learning does mean an online class, that does not necessarily mean that it has to be that way. This can be you as a teacher have opted to use digital or internet assistance to instruct the class for the day. This could be using a game that you created or having the interactive review board for students to use after class. The other form is flipped learning. There is also the idea of flipped learning. This theory instead uses individual learning that creates a dynamic, interactive learning environment where the educator, guides learners as they apply concepts and engage creatively in the subject matter. This could mean that students are asked to use preview videos and exercises to prepare for classroom beforehand. That allows for more conversation to happen in the classroom as the students are more familiar with the content. You could also introduce students to a song or a game that will test them on the current knowledge of their language based on what they have already learned. So what can I use in the classroom? There are several features that can be used to help you create both blended or flipped learning environments in the classroom, and I'm going to give you 3 today. The first one is quizzes. This website allows I find that this website is quite useful in the matter of students are able to self-assess themselves. You are able to assign quizzes to them, and they can see if they have gotten the answers correct as they complete the quiz. The website is free to use, but does offer a premium for a small fee. For language learners, this can be used to help students match words to pictures, fill in sentences with correct grammar, and so on. And I find it quite useful in my current classroom. As my students are older, they need some extra push and drive to want to see where they are in their language ability. The next one is Canva. Canva is a great website. I've been using it for a couple years now. It's used to help design interactive presentations like this one you're currently viewing, or developed videos for students and create worksheets that can later be used for review in class assessments and games. So let's take a quick little look at Canva. So here's Canva. And when you log in and you create your account, it shows you several different things that you can use. You can create documents, you can use a whiteboard, presentations, talking presentations, and so on. There's a lot of different things you can use, and I find it quite useful to help us be able to create different styles of teaching for our students. And here is just a couple of things that I've used so far in Canva. I teach English here in China, and this is one of the games I created last year for the students. It's called Let's Eat. They were learning different types of foods in English. Then I have game rules, and then we have rounds. So here's the first one, do you like? And it's all like it's all animated, as you can create just how you would in PowerPoint, but it gives you more things that you can use and better characters, I think, for the students. Okay, and the last one is ThinkLink. ThinkLink is relatively new to me. I find this to be very useful because this website provides you a way to create programs that are interactive for students to use in both the classroom and at home. So let's take a quick look at a zoo interface that I created that allows them to take a tour around the zoo. So here we are. Here's our zoo. And these icons here allow you to click and you can put in whatever information you want. I have decided to put in a little information about each animal and then ask the kids to repeat the animal's name. So it says, I am a kangaroo. I live in Australia. I have 2 strong legs for hopping. Did you know I keep my baby in a pouch? Can you say kangaroo? And it's a good way for them to be able to practice the language without having you there to help them. So how useful is digital learning assistance? The most common form of digital assistance for language learners are mobile devices. This is the use of smartphones or other mobile technologies in language learning. This is not common in public school settings as it is not as accessible, but for after-school programs, much like my training center days when I first moved to China, these are quite useful because students are usually coming to and from school. They're on their way to the training center on the weekend, and this is a way for them to review before they get to class. And it's really great. You could potentially work this into your public school setting if your school does provide tablets to students. That this is a great way to use interactive activities that you create for students to use on the weekend, or if they can't remember how to pronounce a word, this is a way that you could use it. So interactivity has a positive effect on students as it allows to fully immerse themselves into the subject that they are learning. Interactivity allows students to take control of how they select, organize, and integrate incoming information with their existing knowledge to construct new knowledge. Language is only useful if students can comprehend, use, and interpret what they have learned. Interactivity allows them to test their knowledge in a safe zone with the guidance of you as the teacher. So, digital assistance aside, if you were in a traditional classroom setting, you would definitely still want to have some form of interactivity inside of your classroom because you want your students to be able to continue to use the language they have previously learned in a lesson before. So you build off of what you've learned to continue expanding their knowledge. And engagement is placed into 2 categories, participation and identification. Students must want to participate in the lesson and have some relatability to the lesson. For young learners, the best way to achieve this is to give them lessons on subjects that are hands-on and relatable to words they already know in their first language. So food, animals, colors, toys, that's great for young learners because it's things they already know in their current language, and they just take the image and they translate it into whatever language you're trying to teach them. And in my case, it's English. It is also important to remember the inside of the classroom that students should also put forth effort and resources that help them achieve the learning objectives. So their resources is that they know the image and they know the language in their first language. So they take that image and they associate it with their second language. And they need to put that effort into doing that. So we should remember to have effective engagement that constantly is monitoring our students' emotion and interest. So if students are sitting in class and they're bored, and you see that they're bored, change your activity to keep their engagement. If they have little interest in colors, but large interest in plants, change your lesson to match plants with colors. That allows them to learn the colors, and they're interested in something that the colors are on. So that is the conclusion of my little talk today, and I hope you enjoyed this brief introduction to interactivity and engagement and how to incorporate digital technology into your language learning classrooms. And I hope this helps you with your young learners, because it is important that we keep activity high and make sure that their engagement is high as well as their learning. Hope you enjoyed. Thank you.